Yes, we are live. Let me just
Oh,
pop
finally.
this. Yeah, we're live. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode. And though we're starting late, apologies for that. And we'll be discussing health content creation. Should we do it as a full time or should we do it as a part time job? And with me in the studio today is Olawale. I'll leave him to introduce himself anyway. George is supposed to be here, but he's not here yet. Probably has an emergency somewhere. So, but when he comes, I'll shall bring him on. So, Olawale, I'll pass the mic to you to introduce yourself.
All right. Good evening, everyone watching, listening. My name is Olawale Obulano. I'm a medical doctor, uh, licensed physician. I've been working in the practice for the past 10 years. And right now, I practice full time content creation. Um, I'm also a writer, so I write as a part time, and I work full time as a creator, amongst other things. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a private practice that I've been running for the past 6 years, still ongoing. So I just work actively as advisory. I've taken up advisory roles in the time being so that I can focus full time on my content work. Well, that's me in a nutshell. I work remotely for a company directing. Basically, I'm the director of their social impact activities. Um, basically, so I work. It's a data driven organization, and I head their philanthropy division. So that's me in a nutshell.
Interesting portfolio so far. So, but I think the key takeaway for me from that is that you're doing content creation full time. That's the part I took
Yeah,
away from the.
yeah. It wasn't an easy decision to come to anyway, and even presently as it is right now, I wouldn't say that I'm fully paid for what I do. A lot of the work that I do presently is still largely unpaid, right? So, like for instance, I would say like it's like maybe 40% of the work that I do, the content that I do is what is paid for, and why the remaining 60, 70% thereabout is unpaid for, is unpaid work. And that content work that I do isn't directly even related to the kind of content I'm making right now. It's just what I'm being paid as, for being a writer, working, or having all those other gigs. So yeah, so basically that's how it is. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to pay in the long term, right? So whenever anyone coming into the content creation space must have a futuristic mindset, we must have an end goal in
Yeah.
mind. You don't look at the present. You prepare because of what lies ahead. It's a long game. It's not a short burst 100-meter race. It is a very long game. So you have to give yourself that time, that gap, and you have to believe in what you're doing, and just be consistent at it. So that is where the wins begin to come in. You begin to make little wins here and there, and that is where the remunerations, the money, and all those things start coming in.
Interesting. Well, for those watching, I think I'll just, for proper context, I'll just like to define health content creation. So basically, health content creation is just, it refers to the production and distribution of written, visual or audiovisual material that primarily talks about health-related topics, right? And the truth is, this content can be created by individuals, it can be created by organizations, it can be created by companies. And again, you will also look at the distribution channels. You have blogs, you have websites, you have social media platforms, and regular traditional media. So I think the aim is just to, educate and inform the public about various health issues, promote healthy lifestyle and behaviors and all of that. So, a lot of people will now wonder why going into health content creation? Why? What's the reason behind? getting into health content creation?
Oh well, um, for me personally, I think after after 10 years of practice, I discovered a certain few things in Nigeria. And one of the few things I noticed is um, a huge gap in health knowledge, a
Yeah,
huge gap, a huge gap. And that gap is filled by a lot of myths, a lot of superstitions, a lot of things that aren't really ideal. So for me, I now realize that in taking care of my patients and seeing each of them, I have to spend time debunking myths. I have to spend time debunking so many superstitions, and you don't have enough time to do that. No, you know fully well, you've been in the practice before.
yeah,
Basically, in a country that has about 1 to 10,000, one doctor to 10,000 patients, you barely even have up to a minute to really consult with them and speak to them and educate them. So health content creation is important because you need it. It helps to bridge that gap where that allows for different superstitions to thrive. It helps to also build an avenue where patients can have a feedback loop. So where patients can always go to, people can learn new things, can see new things, and see things in different lights, and also be more aware about the new trends in medical care, the new trends in treatment, and all of that, things that are really changing and advancing. And then talk about certain issues too that are in healthcare. The reason why I really went to it was that I realized that there is a huge demand for health content. There is a huge demand for talking about things that relate to health, but there is a low supply of it, in the sense that many doctors are busy. Spend doctors spend more of their time doing residency training. So when they are
yeah,
out of that training, they become specialists and consultants. So no one finds the time. And even public health professionals still don't spend enough time as you would think to create content that matter to people, that reach a target audience, that reaches a niche and addresses a core problem. So you see,
yeah,
there is that huge gap, and there is that huge gap. So you realize that that gap has to be filled, and there are just a few people. Very, if we count our fingers, you won't be able to count fully your 10 fingers before you can mention those who are actually trying their best possible to debunk myths and then to also help to address that health information gap. So this was one of the reasons why I decided to delve into health content creation. And it has been quite rewarding. Yes, it's not I wouldn't say that it is straightforward, or
yeah.
that
It's
there
not.
has been any, yes, or that it has been marvelous. No, but like everything in life, it's challenging, but you have to rise to the challenge. You have to try as much as possible to make it work and understand the purpose, the importance of what you're doing, and that it is beyond just the remuneration and all of that. It is because you are addressing a problem. So that is why I took on that challenge, because it's something that I've been passionate about. I love public speaking. I love creating amazing content. I'm a creative by nature. So I like to ideate, I like to think, I like to create things, I like to tell stories and share experiences. So I just felt that, why not do this as a full-time job? Why don't you just rise to the challenge and get this thing done?
Yeah,
So basically, that was what took me into this. Um, that was what brought all this. I would just call it new age content creation that we are seeing today, because most of the content that has been trending before, as per medical content, has just been what people post on blogs or something like that. But we've taken it a bit further. We've taken it to new age content creation, following the latest trends, knowing the latest trends on how to catch people, and learning how people pick up on content, and basically dicing down very big chunks of health information and making it easy for people to
to
absorb.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I've been doing now.
And that's quite cool because, like, for me too, I think I have a flair for writing, and me when I started writing, the feedback was amazing. I learned this from your story. Then I used to do these tales of Dr. Ron
So,
stuff.
Dr. Ron, yeah.
But after I got busy, I stopped writing. But the feedback was cool. That okay, we are learning stuff from this one. By the time you address one issue, you break it down like you said in very simple terms, so that people can actually understand what these issues are all about. Then it makes more sense to them. Like when they now go and see the doctor or come to see us again, then it makes more sense, and the conversation is even smoother because they understand what it is that
You've
that
literally done half of the job before they get to the doctor. You've solved
exact
half of the problems.
exactly. I remember seeing somebody one time, and then they were now telling me about what Aproko said on one issue and all of that. We're just laughing anyway. Nobody was interested that okay, so people are actually watching and learning.
Yes.
So I was
And
now like,
learning.
okay, and I was like, oh yeah, tell me what Aproko said. Oh yeah, gist me. And so I just had to wait for her to, narrate what she learned. I was like, okay, that's fine. So it was more interesting, and people get a better sense of what the issues are or what their health challenges are really when people are able to create amazing content and all of that you get. So I think that's what I'm not sure I'm getting enough money like you said now from content creation, but it's just the feedback and joy that I get when people are happy and tell you this is amazing. Thank you for what you're doing. Can you keep writing more stories and all of that? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think that was my own driving factor. And I like hopefully this year I should do more writing this year because honestly to create content is not easy. I don't know if it's easy for you, but it's not easy for me.
A lot of people think that it's quite easy. Um, going on camera, doing all those. People don't understand the amount of time and effort it takes to produce a single content. But I will just break it down a little bit. For me to make a video that is about 2 minutes long, it means that I would have spent close to about an average of 2.5 hours producing that from shooting to publishing. So it takes about 2 hours from writing, because there's the first part that you need to do is writing the content and framing
Yeah,
it properly. That's the scripting part. The scripting
scripting,
part might
yeah.
take, because a lot of ideation goes into that phase. Then there is the shooting part where you have to set up your camera, focus on your lighting. You need to focus on your depth of field, make sure that you're able to tell a story properly, and then visualize the kind of things that you'll be using. Then there is the editing part, which is kind of like another major bulk, because you have to piece all those things together so that they make sense. And that can take so long. For a YouTube video, I think it takes, for me, if I'm shooting a full length YouTube video of about 15 minutes, it takes me about 3 hours to shoot it. Editing it will take about close to double that time to edit it, like 1.5 times of that. So close to 4 or 5 hours to edit that video. Then after that, you now have to set it out and publish it on a platform as at the time where you feel you will get the best traction. So you have to look at different analytics. You need to consider so many things: traffic time for people and the best time for engagement before you post it. But a lot of people just see it and they think it's easy work. It's not, though. If you're going to be coming into health content creation, you need to understand different things, and you need to grab those concepts as quickly as possible. It
As
goes
possible.
beyond that. For you have to do research, you have to do so many things before you come online. Most times when we post content, we have to look and make sure that it is medically credible. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So it's not as easy as people might make it seem. Apopo doctor really makes it easy, makes it look as if it's so easy, him coming
But
out
it's
and
not
doing that.
though.
all that flair, all that flair, and all of that. Because basically, I would just say that I've literally been inspired by him. We started kind of very close, although it was a few months ahead before me. But one thing I really like about him is how he has made hard work look so easy. But the truth is that it is not. It is not easy at all. He only just makes it look easy, but it is not, right? Being consistent enough to sit down and shoot, for example, like for me, each time I'm shooting, like I've shot all my content for January. And to do that, I had to sit down and shoot at least 13 short videos all at once. Now, for context, a Aproko Doctor can go about twice of that, or close to 40 if he needs to. He can shoot about 40 short videos if he wants in a single day. So you see, these are interesting things that you have to do. So the stress that it takes on you, being able to show up even when you don't feel like it, being
Yeah,
consistent and posting
yeah,
content, dealing with criticisms, people telling you that you are supposed to be in the world. What are you doing? What are you doing online? Those kind of things. You need to learn how to deal with criticisms and all of that. But you just have to stay focused on your goal, which is to educate people and build a community. The essence of content creation generally is to build a community. And there has been no better time to build communities than in today's day and age. You know, this is the this is the easiest time to build communities that matter. So it is easy to build a health community, like not easy, but it is possible, right? It is very possible to create and to build communities right now online, meaningful communities online, and which is part of what we've been trying to do and which we've been able to achieve for quite a while. Thousands of people, millions of people, reaching out to millions of people with our content. It's something that really, at least those are the things that give us joy, apart from the fact that yes, we sometimes you get remunerated for it, but the most important thing is the impact, the reach, because most times it's exponential. It's not just
very
one person.
exponential. Yeah,
Yes, very, especially in today's day and age where videos can be shared quite easily, information can be shared at lightning speed. It's tremendous. It's an exponential reach that you have. There is really no limit as to where your content can get to. So that's what I hope to do later on. And that's one of the reasons why I still stay encouraged despite all the challenges.
yeah, I quite agree with you. I mean, looking at what do you call it? Um, I mean, you mentioned the difficulties or the challenges around shooting videos and all of that. I can relate because I recently started doing short YouTube videos, and I'm like, is this what people go through in a bid to produce? I mean, it takes me almost like 2 hours to even shoot one video, one short 5 minutes video, because you keep. I mean, you have to write the script first, then you have to start learning the script. Which hook am I going to use? How am I going to present the information and all of that? Then along there, you're making a lot of mistakes, and you have to start all over again. That's just for the shooting. Though. We've not started talking about editing, maybe adding voiceovers or putting text or designing graphics. Then finally, looking for what platform. I think for the past 1 week now, I've really been studying a lot of YouTube channels, tutorials, editing, and I'm like, this is serious work. Because then I do more of writing than video and all of that. And I mean, it's the same creative process, really. You don't just wake up and start writing. It doesn't happen like that. You have to think about what you want to write, who is the target audience, how best do you think people are going to receive this. Then you have to do the research. What are the current trends about the topic you want to write about? What's the latest research? Then before you now even start writing the initial draft, then you now talk about grammar, you talk about structure, editing, formatting, before you now start thinking of, sharing it out, or maybe if you're being paid to write the article or blog post, then you can now send it to whoever that commission you to pay. But it's a lot, really. I mean, the creative process is not easy. So for some people it looks very easy. I mean, like some content I'm pushing out now, I've done them since last year, November. So that tells you how long I've been doing this just to be able to put them out now. So it's
Mhm.
actually a journey and all of that. So then I know somebody asked me the other day, so if I want to get into health content creation, how do I start? I think I got that message last week. Yeah, that how does she start? So
Well,
what do you think?
for me, I just personally think that above all, the interest should be there. Then, secondly, I believe that the person should have a long term mindset, not a short term mindset. Anybody that has a short term mindset coming into health content creation will fail. You will, because you need to know that you are going to play. It's a marathon thing. You are going to be going for a very long time. It takes months and lots of collaborations, lot of patience to build stuff, right?
Yeah,
So you need to have that mindset. You need to have the proper mindset before you go into it. Then I think a background in health will be very good, whether if you are a nurse, you're a pharmacist, you're a doctor, the area where you would like to speak about, it is good if you have some background or qualification to help you. That also helps you. It boosts your um, it's easy for you to make research into those areas. It is easy for you to consult within your networks and ask some proper questions if you're building up a story or something like that. It is easy to do those things. So you have like the right network. It's not like it's absolutely necessary, but I would just say that it gives you like an unprecedented advantage, right?
yeah,
So it helps you, and people high like will hardly doubt your credibility, because it's important. If you are going to be going into health, you need to ensure that what you're saying is credible. What you're saying is credible and can be cited. So these are important things that you need to have in mind. And then you need to have the tools. So, and today is not hard. With a smartphone, you can start shooting. You don't need to have any fancy gear or anything. It is the quality of what you're making that matters.
yeah.
It's the quality of what you're making. Yes, fancy gear and all that are good, but it is not the main thing. What makes you really go far is the quality of what you're saying, the creativity behind it, what you're doing. Those are the things that really determine how far your content is going to go. Like for instance, if if a Poco doctor decides that he wants to shoot his content now with a smartphone, which I know he wouldn't, right? But uh, but is still a Proco doctor. It will still trend. It will still pass the message. So it is
Yeah,
the quality. It is the quality of what he is saying that matters. So many people go on camera and say a lot of things. People don't pay them any serious attention, right? Not because of anything, but because of the fact that um, there is not as much creativity behind it as one would want it to. So it's something that you also have to learn. You should learn and know how to be creative, how to pass your message. What is the best way to pass your message? Do I go through comedy? Do I use storytelling? What way do I actually use to pass this message to people? And then you stay with it. You must be willing to test. You must be willing to adapt. If you want to go into content creation, you must learn how to adapt. You can't be rigid. You have to be liquid. So if
very
something
liquid.
doesn't work, you find another way for it to work. You check every single time. You are dynamically adapting to the environment. To that's you basically environment adapting to new things, new tools, new trends. So you have to learn to be liquid. You can't be rigid. You cannot be rigid. So those are just a few things off the top of my head that I personally feel that anyone going into content creation really has to have those things in mind. And health content creation at that. You must be good at research. You must be good at checking for information, proofing information to be sure that those information they are right, they are credible. So those are off the top of my head. Those are the few things I would like to mention.
Yeah, then talking about testing, I remember when I started. I mean, so I think for every content I put out, because I started on Twitter like actively. So for every content I put out, I think after like 2 days, I go back to check the analytics. So how good is this one doing? So I begin to compare each story with one another, and I'm looking at the metrics. So I have an Excel sheet, so I usually write everything down. So I'm now looking at each title, and I'm like saying, okay, this one made high impressions or wider reach and all of that. So I begin to ask myself, so why is this one doing better than these other ones? Is there anything I was doing differently here that maybe appeals to people that the other ones didn't carry in their nature? I think so over time, by the time I kept on doing the analytics, I was now seeing what really worked. What does the audience like? What do they enjoy? And so I began to now the hotel usually double down on what works. So I just kept on using that same formula that used to work or that seemed to work more for that persons. And I mean, it was amazing. So I think it's the same thing too. Now that I'm, testing out the video waters and all of that. So most times I go back to look at the, back end, check the analytics. What are the numbers? Which one is going higher and all of that. So you have to keep checking, you have to keep testing, you have to keep adapting. So that I mean, you don't get lost in the or people will just forget you or what you are even doing. So you have to be flexible, like you said. Then talking about full time, you say you are doing it full time. Me, I'm not doing it full time. I can't do it full time. I think personally for me, before you can do it full time, I feel there should be something that should be, sustaining your lifestyle or at least paying your bills by the corner while you now sit down and focus on content creation before people now think you just sit down and the millions are rolling. Please, oh, that's my own perspective. Wale say he's doing his own full time, so that means he has other
Yeah,
things
so
bringing
okay, so
money.
let me now clarify on that because as I said, going into full time content creation, I work, I do a lot of content development. So and that I also do, I do that as a job, right? I do that as a job, and I would say that I get a fair pay for that, right? So that enables me to focus on what I'm doing full time. If that was not the situation, I would probably have sliced my time to part time or something like that, so that I can focus on content creation, but it will have most likely been part time. So I know a lot of doctors, even up until now, with the interest in that, they still do it part time. They can't go into it full time because as much as they want to, they have other commitments, and um, it's difficult. If it's not paying you yet, it is hard. So I am actually reaching out for a time where um, I get to that point where it pays me, right? And it is not impossible because if you look at the space, the health content creation space, there are people who have already gotten to that place where they get paid for their content. In the US, we have Dr. Mike in the US. You have in the UK, you have a Dr. Ali Abdal who resigned from the NHS to work in YouTube, to work as a YouTuber. These are people who have beat the path, right? And let
Yeah,
us know that it is very possible for you um, to move into content creation full time if it is something you desire. So the desire is there, everything is there, people who have done it before is there. So what is stopping you, right? The only thing stopping you is you. So you just need to know what your end goal is, and then you need to create a strategy that works. For me, the strategy that has worked for me was being able to get a remote job that enables me to focus and do some of these things, do them well. And so far it has been helpful. It has helped me. I've learned a lot. I've learned so many things, right? Beyond that, even learning how to build and work with startups and all. So it's been a very good journey in that regard. So So you need to learn what works. You need to build a strategy that works for you, that gives you that time to be able to go into health content creation. Because in the first few years, it will not pay you. In the first few years, it will not pay you until you have a sizable audience, until you have established traction, and you've been able to build consistency over time. Then you can be able to say you can build something that works.
Yeah. Then I also I remember a while back I used to volunteer to write pieces for blogs, for websites for free. That sort of helped me build like a small portfolio technically, because by the time you're now beginning to probably pitch to clients or telling hospitals or pharmacies, maybe I should be writing for you guys monthly and all of that. The question is usually, I mean, what have you done before? Where is your work? So it's difficult when you don't even have anything to show people. So then I had a couple of blogs or websites where I had contributed stuff to. So I just took the links, put them in one document and send. So okay, this is what I've written, or these are some of my clients I've written for in the past. So I mean, there is a verifiable like track record. Oh, okay, this guy has been writing actually for so person. So if you can, I think volunteering also works. I mean, volunteer to write for people for free. Really, I mean, so I know some people will say, why should you be volunteer? Well, that's what worked for me. Oh. I mean, you can't just come and start charging. So, like, I think in this industry, it's more of who are you, how credible is this person, who and who has he worked for, before we can now
Mhm.
say, okay, let's give him to write for us. So, if you just jump out from the sky nowhere and say, I'm a writer or something, it go hard small though. That's what I've seen from my own experience, honestly.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that because it's good for you to have a footprint of what you've done. No
Yeah,
matter what, you must have an established footprint of what you have done, and basically like have a track record of something you've done before. you know so it's really really important to do that. So that is why build yourself and create your digital portfolio so that anywhere you are, and when people ask for what you've done, for example, now I can walk into any place and tell them that I will build their content for them. It's like a health company or something, or I can I can be a health consultant to any company right now because I have a track record, and I can tell them to check. Do you understand? I can work for companies, build their content libraries for them because I have the track record. I just need to show them one of my videos that has trended, and that's all.
yeah,
You know. So put in the work and build a digital portfolio. All this, it's very easy nowadays for you to have proof of work. Once you have that, once you've seen something that has worked, something that has trended, something that has created communities, people will be willing to trust you with more. People
definitely.
will be so willing to trust you with more, but you must be willing to put in the work. Without putting in the work, nothing comes out of it. So it's not easy, but you just need to find a way to make it work. Those are the areas where sacrifices need to be made, so you need to make them you know
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think a lot of persons quit too early because they are probably looking for quick wins. As in the money never come. Why they no one pay me all those kind of money and all of that. Forgetting that there are people who have burnt the midnight is it oil that we can do to get to where they are, and I mean you're just popping out and hoping to collect all the money or become very popular and all of that. So, like you said, it's a long term game, really. It's really a long term. So, like myself, I wouldn't say I'm there yet, but it's still a journey, and trying to understand the industry better. Okay, for example, now, a lot of people, I think I saw one report yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, that people spend, I can't remember the number of hours, but it was a sizable amount of hours that people spend on YouTube these days. And I'm like, okay, so it means like video content is like the way to go now. No, it doesn't mean you shouldn't. You should stop writing, or
Yeah.
posting short stuff?
No, I
Is
think
that it?
the fact remains that there are a lot of reasons why that is happening. Because number one, there's a rise in smart devices in the hands of more people, so people are really looking for more content to consume on the go. Number two, um, also in people's homes you are having more of smart TVs, so it is very easy to access internet based content right now, even straight from your TV. Before that, our TVs, you need to connect DVD, you need to plug in DVD to watch anything. No, today my TV that is behind me is a smart TV. You just need to click on YouTube, connect to the internet, and then you are watching, you're streaming straight from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we will always continue to consume content because human beings are social in nature. We are social in nature. So, and our need to consume information is endless. We will always seek information. So that is why the journey into content creation and all of that, especially with regards to health, is something that I would advise to people. I would advise, though it's not easy, but it's something that is doable and it's something that brings its reward. But the passion is the most important thing. Being passionate enough is the most important thing. Finding a way for things to work, even when things are exceedingly difficult,
Yeah.
is something that, yeah, it's not interesting at all, because most times it seems as if I'm doing a lot of it's like it's I'm doing a lot of philanthropy, which is kind of cool, right? But at some point you need to know that something needs to fit the bills. But if you can wait it out, if you can wait out that time, of be patient enough and just hang in there, be consistent and build your community, build a quality community, it will work out. At some point it will work out. And then find your niche, right? So for me, I found my niche in talking about social impact and life, talking about health, and talking about technology and all those things in between, how they all affect our well-being. So I found my niche in that. Find your niche in generally. If you want to speak generally, there are some people that would be better off with specific topics. There are some that would for me, like if I say I really want to niche down, I love talking about health and tech.
Yeah.
But for some other people, it might be specific topics like ONG, might be even like somebody who is a consultant can decide to just make specific ONG content. It's not a problem. Or in fact, there is a YouTuber. There's a YouTuber on YouTube that is an orthopedic surgeon. So he talks about different things, and he
Is it
creates. Okay, so
Dr. Jude?
I'm not sure if it's Dr. Jude. I'm not
Oh,
really
okay.
sure. But he's I think he's a black Canadian or black American, but I can't remember. And he makes some of these very interesting content where basically he analyzes different Hollywood movies, and then he looks at fight scenes, and then he tells people what kind of injury such people will sustain, and how long they will be how long they'll be
Nice.
hospitalized. It's really cool. I spent a couple of hours consuming his content, and I really did like what he does, right? He's done something like that. So there are other things. There are so many other things. But the thing is, you have to keep trying. And then when you find something that works, niche it down, right? Niche it down, own the space. Don't be afraid to try new things. And another thing again that I've learned over time is don't be too stoic. As I said, be liquid. You need to learn to be liquid. You need to learn to adapt your content, because people get bored easily, especially in today's day and age. People get bored. So if you're doing one and the same thing every single time, nothing new, nothing is coming in, no new inspiration, people will walk out. People will stop
Definitely.
watching. So it's important that every time you're doing something, you're doing it fresh. You're looking at you're looking at different concepts. You're thinking. That's the thing about content creation. It's about creativity. You know, it's about creativity. It's about looking at something differently and saying, oh, I'm going to try it from this angle. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to tell this story like this. I'm going to frame it from this angle. Oh, I'm going to use this shot. Those kind of things like that. So you need to always evolve. I was somebody who I quite respected, that I quite respect in the media space. And he says something, he always says something that is either you evolve or die.
Yes, so.
So anyone who is coming into health content creation must also remember the same. The same principle applies for any space in content creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not easy. And the thing is that that dynamic of always trying to look for new things is part of the things that now leads you to the extremes, because leads you to the extremes in the sense that burnout is quite easy. If there's one thing I've learned in my journey, my short journey, is that it is very easy to get burned out. So one
Yeah.
thing I've said is that at every point in time, I take a step back to entertain myself, to rest, to refresh, and then to start up again. So that has been what has helped me, and I am deliberate and intentional about it, because that resting point is also key to renewing your flows, your creative juices and all of that, to enable you
Exactly.
to create and go back, so and not push yourself to the place of burnout, because burnout is something that happens a lot. A lot of people that create content, they will have burnout. So if you don't give yourself enough time to rest, you keep pushing yourself so hard like that, you will get burnt out. And trust me, burn out can lead to depression, can lead to so many other things that it's really a dark place that you don't want to get to. And that's one of the complications that I've seen in the content creation space. It's very easy to get burned out, and then it's also easy to have so many that get mentally fatigued. So it's important that you take time and you are deliberate enough to find time to rest and to basically rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah, and I think another thing that also helps too is being able to, have your own community of creators where you belong to. I mean, similar people who can relate to what you're passing through. I mean, if I'm doing content and I'm probably talking to somebody who doesn't, maybe who's just a consumer of content, the person doesn't understand the process of what we pass through, to bring that piece out there. So I think also helps to, having that small community where you bounce ideas, or maybe you're having thought block, or you're tired or something, somewhere to just rant and just shout, or somebody to reach out. Omar, they try to do video, or I'm trying to write a story, it's not working. What do you think? So that really helps too. I think for me, it's I think that's like my best therapy, sort of, because I mean, you get writer's block. Sometimes you're trying to ideate or conceptualize something, it's not
Yes,
working.
writer's block, creator's block. It
It's not
happens
working.
to everyone. Yes. So that is
So
why what you said is so important. Like you have people who like they are your fan, like your just say, let me call them your creative family. So
yeah.
they do the same things with you. So they understand your pain, where you are coming from, and then they can help you get back on your feet again. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's also very important to connect. Don't be an island. One of the things I love about YouTube is the creator space. They like to collaborate, they like to work with other creators, and they are quite open with that. So, if you're going to be getting into the health content creation space, find out those people that are already doing it. It doesn't have to be me, right? But find out people who are already there and connect with them, so that it makes it easier for you to build your community, to niche down, and to also have like a creators family where when you run into blocks, you can easily navigate those blocks and come back out strong. So
Exactly.
those are just important things that people need to do. People that come to my creative space, sometimes they just notice that almost like 80% of the time we are playing games, and then we are arguing, and we debate about sports, we talk about a lot of things. But one thing I have discovered that happens in that place is that the moment we have that space, once we talk like that, we get inspired to continue with what we are doing,
Yeah.
right? We get inspired once we play games, we do all of those things. We are just fired back again to say this is what we want to do, this is what we need to achieve. So that is why I left it. So if you come to my creative space, you see that there's always a game console, and there are always places for you to game and refresh and just to sit down and have fun. right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing I noticed. It's one thing I noticed. So always have people that you can talk to, people that real people, real people that you can talk to and connect with on that level, on the level of the work you're doing, so that it will be easy for you to navigate through blocks and other challenges.
Yeah, very, very true. And most times, like all those little breaks, they help because by the time you, I mean, in quotes, zone out from whatever you're maybe shooting or writing, do a different activity altogether, just laugh, and by the time you're coming back, it's like you have a different perspective as to you even find it easier to, the other I was writing one short piece. I got to a point and the thing wasn't working again. I should just left it and went to do something else. So by the time I came back, I now it's like I came with another pair of eyes, and I sat down and rewrote the whole thing and now sent it to somebody
Mhm.
like they're like, wow, this is better than the first one you sent me.
Mhm.
So I like, okay, anytime I mean it's like engine don't knock, you just come out more
Just,
then
just call 911.
when then you come back to the whole process and it really helps too. So that's usually good for I think it's part of a long-term plan too because I
Mhm.
mean some like you said you can get depressed sometimes, so you don't want to be alone in that space when it comes. At least you have one or two persons to reach out to talk to laugh and gist and shall just continue until the big break happens. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good one. Let me see. I don't think George is still gonna be here. Then the
Okay.
last one I wanted to talk about. I mean, I also keep hearing, is there the market for it? Is there the market? I'm saying yes, there is the market for it. So I mean, for example, a lot of hospitals are beginning to understand why they need to engage their patients, educate their patients on different health issues and all of that. And I mean, doctors are very busy to do all of these things. Hospital administrators, they are busy running hospitals. So somebody has to produce the content somewhere. So imagine, let's say all the hospitals in Lagos, Sef. I mean, you can't finish them now if they say, I mean, you have 10 hospitals that tell you, okay, we want one article from you every month. I mean, that's a lot of work which you really can't finish, right? So I feel the market is there. You're talking of hospitals, you're talking of pharmacies, you're talking of diagnostic centers, you know, that's just one area. Then we've not started looking at the corporate bodies too, all the banks, other institutions that require content. I mean, being able to come and do health presentations for companies is still content. You have to sit down and figure it out. Come and do presentation for us on diabetes, hepatitis, hypertension. Is still content creation. So the market is very, very, very huge, really. So and the opportunities are endless. That's why I keep telling anybody trying to come into the space. Yes, the market is there, but again, it's a long term game. It's not something you just come in and you blow overnight and you disappear. No, it takes work, a lot of work. So right. So that's what I
Yeah.
usually tell them.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree. There is a lot of the demand is there. Let's not we wouldn't let's not beat that too much. The demand for health content is there. In the company that I currently work with, the demand is there for content around aging, right? Aging science and longevity, right? So there is demand for that kind of content apart, and that is minus the other various things that the consortium that the organization itself, Deep Knowledge Group, that's the name. um Minus everything that they do, they focus on health. And when you look at it, it's health content. When you look at longevity
Yeah.
and aging and all of that, it's health content, you know,
Mhm.
it's health content. So there are different varieties. And I said something that if we start from today till the next 100 years, we won't be able to finish creating content on health. We won't. We won't. If we start today making health content specific to different niches, in the next 200 years, we can't
You
finish it.
can't exhaust it. Yeah, true.
You can't exhaust medical content. So you can't exhaust health content generally. So the market is there. And you've mentioned it, if you're a doctor or you're a health professional and you want to even work with corporate bodies, that is another way to go on its own. So there are different avenues where you can really monetize your talent and make it work. You just need to be creative enough to see, look at the long game and think outside the box a little bit and be willing to just go a bit out of your comfort zone to get some things done. And and things will fall in place. That's just what I would say. Things will fall in place.
Yeah, I agree. I perfectly agree with you. I'm just trying to check if there are any questions from YouTube, LinkedIn. Let me check. Just a minute. Let's see. Okay, there are no questions at the moment. Let me quickly check Twitter. Just a second. Oh, live stream. Let me see. Somebody is sending me a DM saying, so on the average, how much do you make? Please,
Uh,
what's the answer to that question?
how do I put it? Okay, let me just put it this way: that um, by proper planning, following the fact that I properly planned my time to engage with remote jobs that had me to that helped me or supported me in being able to build this pathway. uh I would just say that in naira I earn close to seven figures. That was seven figures actually. Yeah, so it's kind of like a modest amount now, is it not? So
So
um
I think that's fine.
yeah, so anybody within this space or anybody who understands that living in Nigeria, okay, I will put it into context. Um, I think content creators or health content creators presently and people who have been able to plan their life around content can right now, as of today, they can earn more than consultants in Nigeria. So yeah, so presently I do I earn as much as some consultants and more in government settings. And yeah, so I don't think remuneration is such a problem, but that's not what drives you, right? It's what you're doing that drives you. So I've been able to create a support system that has helped me to be able to have that kind of remuneration. So that's why we said planning is important. So when you're able to plan yourself properly, it helps you. Yeah, it helps you.
Somebody just dropped a comment on LinkedIn. Says 7 figures per month.
Yes.
eh,
Yeah, $7 per
Gabriel,
month in okay, so seven figures per month in naira. So that we're on the same page. Seven figures per month in naira. Yes.
so
So
they
and I earn that. I earned that, basically through my work as a content developer. Because as I said earlier on, that I also work remotely for an organization. So chiefly, that payment comes from that area. So, and that is able to, in quotes, support my gig and support me to be able to do and continue in the content work. But I would say this, that I'm privy to other health content creators, like, the very apropos doctor himself. So, and I know that
it's quite
he earns
lucrative.
no, no, no. He earns at least, if I'm being modest, at least three times of what I earn in seven
Ah,
figures.
let,
If
let's
I'm
not
being
bring his
modest.
let's not bring his leg out. But I mean, basically,
Yeah,
it's
so yeah,
you can
so
earn well.
exactly, and he earns that from different brand ambassadorships, endorsements, and all. So it's countless, and I've not even gone into those waters yet. I'm not yet there. I'm just working and supporting myself to support my passion in health content creation. But by the time I am knee deep into it, I'm pretty sure that even what I'm earning will be dwarfed. Definitely is going to be dwarfed because there is no way you start working well as a content creator. You are working with brands that you won't be earning in seven figures. There's no way you want to do it. You earn in seven figures in naira. So in dollars you can be getting close to five figures to six figures yet. So that's just what I would say.
That's fine. Then I got another question. It said, is health influencing the same thing as health content creation? Hmm. Well, I would say no. In fact, that's another conversation itself entirely.
And I would say that they are related, but they don't necessarily mean the same thing.
Exactly. Yes,
Because
they are closely tied together, but you
yes,
can
yes,
really
yes,
separate them.
exactly. And content creation in itself is a bigger umbrella for health. It covers health influencing.
Yeah,
It's a bigger umbrella. So health content creation is just basically you are looking at that space, building information around health, right?
yeah.
Of which influencing is also a part of it, right? Influencing comes after you have built a community. So you have become a thought leader.
Because
So that
for
yeah,
me, the way I want to, or I usually look at it is, I mean, there are some content out there, right, that health influencers push out. But sometimes it will surprise you they are not the ones writing the content. You know, they could just say, okay, I want to do a one short video on health benefits of mango. Can you write something for me about that? Me, I get back to work, I go and do the research, write the story, and send to them. And they are the one pushing out the content, right? So he's the one promoting it. So it's the face you are seeing. So let's say, quote, now, let's still use Aproko for example. So he probably does his own writing, he does his own delivers the content himself. So we can also put him as a creator and an influencer
creator and an
together.
influencer. Yeah. And that is why
Exactly.
I said that, yeah, and that's why I said that, influencing comes after you have built a community.
Yeah.
It comes after you have built a community. So it doesn't just come at once. You don't just become a health influencer. No, you become a content creator first. You work as a content creator first before you can move into health influencing. So it is still like a sub of it. So they are related, but they are not necessarily the same thing.
Same
But they are
thing.
related. Yes, they are related.
If I one of these days, I'm going to drag some of these our big influencers, let them come and tell us what they actually do to so that we can have a balanced conversation. Really.
Yes, yes,
Let me
yes. Yeah.
let me see if there is any other question. Just a minute. Okay, I think that's about it. Right. No more questions. I think we've gone past our allotted time.
Yeah, that's
I,
cool. Cool. Time
I,
flies.
yeah, when the conversation is very sweet, you just forget about time somehow.
I know, right? Yeah, I know, right? I know,
Uh,
right?
let me
Yeah,
see.
thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure being on the stream and being able to share insights on what we've been talking about. It's something that is really passionate for me, and for those that are willing to go into the space, as I said, it's a long-term mindset that you need to go into this, and you need to plan for the long term. So you need to make plans for that. Like you need to be strategic about the plans that you'll be making. You need to have at least ample time for what you'll be doing if you want to become a health content creator. And then you need to understand that it is a big space. It's not it Forget the remuneration for now. um it is a place where you need to do a lot of work, because the first thing is health content creation. You need to make it it's a you are breaking down a big chunk of information. It is like, as Apoko doctor told me, and he always shares with me, health information is boring when you look at it from the general perspective. It is boring, it is hard, it is full of big chunks of words that people can hardly it is only the inducted, that is the medical people, that
I know what's
understand.
up.
Exactly, it is only those that are literally inducted into that space that know. So you are going to be doing a lot of breaking down, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. So and then you also need to learn how to make something that is boring interesting to watch. So it requires a lot of a lot of creativity that so many people just think is easy, but it's not. It is not easy, and I'm going to tell you that anyone who is going to be coming into the space, you easily realize that it's one of the hardest things to do. So good luck to anyone that is joining. But one thing I will tell you is that the space is growing and growing very fast, and the best time to join is now, not tomorrow. Now.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Wale, for sharing your time with us. I think this stream will still be on my LinkedIn. I don't know how long it stays on LinkedIn before it disappears. And well, still it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you're watching from LinkedIn or from Twitter, you can always find the the stream on my YouTube channel. So just in case you missed it or you want to come back later, yes, you find it on the channel. And yes, I think that's that for today's episode. And till we come your way next time, bye for now.
Bye.